With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select.
The NFL Draft is officially over, and as is tradition, we need to get you our biggest winners and losers of day one of the NFL Draft. Now, before we get to the content, we have officially announced giveaway winners on my Twitter account for our last giveaway. We're going to be running our next giveaway on Instagram. All you need to do to enter is follow me and turn on my notifications on Instagram. And when we get to 100,000 followers, I'll announce multiple followers who turn on my notifications to win $100 cash. Now that we get all that out of the way, break! Some of the green slips you guys have been sending me is crazy. Like $1,250 off of a $250 slip, or $1,500 off of a $150 power play. We've been making bank off of our basketball picks, bro. March Madness was a huge success, and believe me, we're about to ramp it up for the NBA playoffs. All you have to do is download Prize Picks, use my promo code Mikerophone, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100 instantly. After that, just follow me on Instagram. I post all of my picks onto my Instagram story for free, and we can start making money off of these picks together. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So the NFL draft has been insane so far. I think we could all agree with that. And I think we could say who the biggest winners and losers of day one have been, at least so far. In this particular instance, I think we all have to agree. Obviously, a huge winner will have to be the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers stole the draft despite doing exactly what everybody knew that they would do, which was selecting Bryce Young with the #1 overall pick. Since a few months ago, all the Carolina Panthers had to do was wait until Roger Goodell started the NFL draft and then put in their draft card, which is kind of comical to me because they spent 10 minutes milking the first pick in the NFL draft so they could show highlights of that player. Everyone knew that the Panthers would go on to select Alabama prodigy Bryce Young, but the moment that Carolina made it official, the NFL went wild. All Carolina had to do to acquire their quarterback of the future is give up 2 first-round picks and their #1 wide receiver, DJ Moore. Despite the Panthers seemingly handicapping themselves by trading what would have been Bryce Young's go-to receiver, Young is so talented that giving up what is seemingly a king's ransom is still an underpay, as Bryce Young is as close to a guaranteed draft pick as they come. Bryce Young can make throws at insane arm angles. He can throw off of 1 foot. He has a rocket for an arm, and the only red flag he has is his size. Young will play professional football at just under 200 pounds and 6 feet tall, which may seem kind of concerning considering how Kyler Murray has been so far. But in the NFL, playing at that small of a size could have some major consequences. And although this may seem odd, I'm fully confident that the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young are going to look back at this moment and say, wow, we're really happy that we did this. As for the Houston Texans, I don't necessarily know if they're a winner or a loser. And let me know in the chat or in the comment section what you think. But there's one thing we have to agree upon, and that's the fact that they stole the NFL draft. Not only did the Texans sit still at 2nd overall and take what some consider to be the best overall QB in the draft with CJ Stroud, depending on who you ask, but they also traded back up with the Arizona Cardinals, exchanging their 12th overall pick later in the draft and a 2024 first round pick for the Cardinals' 3rd round pick, where they took the best edge rusher in the NFL draft in Will Anderson, who dominated offensive tackles in the SEC for the past 3 years, racking up 27.5 sacks in just the last 2 seasons played. The Texans' rebuild that has been going on for years now may finally be coming to an end, as the Texans nab 2 franchise cornerstones, not only on offense, but they have their guy on the offensive end and on the defensive end as well, and they haven't had a premier pass rusher since the departure of JJ Watt years prior. New head coach DeMeco Ryans not only will have a quarterback of the future to mold into his own image, but also has a pass rusher from his alma mater who he can move around and use, just like he used Nick Bosa in San Francisco during his tenure with the 49ers. So obviously I was going to say that the Carolina Panthers are a big winner here. Obviously I was going to say Bryce Young's a big winner here. And of course, with the commotion that the Texans made, I'm going to clearly say that they are also winners as well. But we can't say everyone's a winner in this draft. And although one of these individuals as a result of this transaction is a huge winner, the team that decided to make this decision, in my opinion, is a huge loser. One of the biggest losers of this NFL draft have to be the Atlanta Falcons by selecting Bijan Robinson with the 8th overall pick in the NFL draft. Now, I want you to know that I think Bijan Robinson Robinson is a fantastic player, and I have nothing against him at all whatsoever. But I could already tell that this was a huge debate between the general manager of the team and Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith probably wanted another running back in order to execute his offense, whereas any general manager would know that in this situation, the Atlanta Falcons have so many pressing needs that they shouldn't even touch Bijan Robinson with a 10-foot pole. Here's the thing, at least in my philosophy, you should not select a running back in the first round unless your team is loaded at each and every position. A team like the Philadelphia Eagles, if they selected Bijan Robinson, I'd say, okay, this makes a lot of sense. They have Darius Slay, they have James Bradbury, they have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, they have Hassan Reddick. Yeah, they lost Javon Hargrave, and yeah, they did a great job replacing him. I'm terrified about that, and I'm going to get to that take in just a sec. But offensively, they have Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert, a great offensive line, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown. So if the Eagles made this pick, I'd say, okay, well, duh, they have so many weapons that they could afford to select Bijan Robinson with the 8th overall pick. But here's the thing that bothers me so much about this pick. The Falcons had needs at wide receiver, edge rusher, interior defensive line, and cornerback, and they decided to select Bijan Robinson instead. What's even more troubling is this makes Bijan Robinson the 4th highest paid running back in the NFL right now, which is insane if you think about it. I mean, the man hasn't even taken a snap yet. You don't even know if he's going to be the next coming of Trent Richardson or not. Most likely he's not, but currently Christian McCaffrey makes $30 million a year annually, Derrick Henry at $25.5 million, Alvin Kamara at $22.8 million, and then Bijan Robinson makes more than Nick Chubb, which obviously makes Bijan Robinson a huge winner, but the Atlanta Falcons, pretty big loser. And since we're on the subject of running backs, I want to say that Jahmyr Gibbs is a huge winner as well, but a part of me also has to say that the Detroit Lions are losers in this regard. Now, I know the Detroit Lions have so many draft picks that they don't really know what to do with them, but they didn't even have a need at the running back position in this particular instance. They've been doing really well in the NFL draft recently, but reaching for Jahmyr Gibbs, he could have potentially been there in the second round. He would have been there when you selected 18th overall for sure. They also signed David Montgomery in the offseason, and they still have DeAndre Swift. So selecting Jahmyr Gibbs with the 12th overall pick for a player that is 5'9" and is going to be a rotational halfback for your team just makes no sense at all whatsoever. I mean, they had needs at defensive tackle. I would have liked to see them trade up for Jalen Carter. They had needs at linebacker, offensive line as well. They had needs at quarterback. You could have had Will Levis sit behind Jared Goff and see what you had in him. They did eventually address the linebacker pick with their number 18th selection. I mean, what I'm trying to say is pick anything else. Pick anyone else but Jahmyr Gibbs with the 12th overall pick in the NFL draft, because respectfully, I believe this was a wasted pick. I would have rather you reached on your offensive line target or drafted a tight end in this particular instance, or even reach on a defensive tackle than select Jahmyr Gibbs, because now Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 paid running back in the NFL as a result of this selection. Now, this next winner executed NFL draft mastery, and I think we really need to acknowledge him for it. For the NFL draft, the New England Patriots were set on Oregon lockdown cornerback Christian Gonzalez, and it seemed as if the team needed to trade up in order to grab their defensive back of the future. And the New England Patriots would have that opportunity. At pick number 14, they had the opportunity to select Christian Gonzalez, but they didn't. They actually allowed the Pittsburgh Steelers to trade up with them. Why would they do that? Well, the 15th pick of the NFL draft was actually the New York Jets pick. So get this, the fact that the New York Jets did a pick swap with the Green Bay Packers for pick 13 and pick 15 actually ended up screwing them a little bit, because the New England Patriots would allow the Pittsburgh Steelers to trade up to number 14 and select Broderick Jones, who was clearly the player that the New York Jets were targeting. So Bill Belichick allowed the Steelers to trade up and select the player that the Jets wanted, and then he would trade down to the 17th pick. Christian Gonzalez would still be there with the 17th pick, and now as a result of the selection, it seems like the New England Patriots have one of the best cornerback duos in the NFL. They have an additional pick as a result of the trade up, and they were able to screw over a division rival as a result of this. With Jonathan Jones lined up on one side and now Christian Gonzalez lined up on the other, this will open up more options for Bill Belichick and his defense at the line of scrimmage. Gonzalez is a tall, lanky cornerback best suited for man coverage, and a direct comparison would be Richard Sherman, seeing as both of the DBs were 6'2", 200 pounds coming into the draft, and both corners prefer playing in man coverage. Patriots are hoping Gonzalez can step in and be a day one starter, possibly even an all-pro like last season's rookies Sauce Gardner and Tariq Woolen. However, Patriots fans, you must temper your expectations, because it is rare for cornerbacks, even cornerbacks as talented as Christian Gonzalez, to play at such a high level in year one. And all Gonzalez is debatably the best cornerback prospect in this draft besides Devin Witherspoon. Some people even had Gonzalez rated higher than Witherspoon. And it can be speculated that the only reason Witherspoon was taken before Gonzalez is because for some reason players, specifically cornerbacks in the Pac-12, don't get as highly rated as other conference DBs because of the weaker competition. However, despite this, Gonzalez has excellent instincts, man skills, and even can play zone if you'd like. And the one weakness Gonzalez did have coming into the 2022 season, his ball skills, are seemingly now a strength as he hauled in a career-high 4 interceptions and 7 pass deflections last year with Oregon. Gonzalez fell perfectly to the Patriots, just like the next player on this list, who fell way more than anybody expected and could be the best player in this entire draft. And to be honest, I'm really mad at the NFL for allowing this to happen. Before the NFL Combine, Jalen Carter was a potential first overall pick and was all but a lock for the top 3. However, after shocking news came out that Carter had been involved in a car accident in Georgia just days after his national championship victory, which resulted in the death of a teammate and a team staffer, his draft stock was in limbo. In addition, when Carter attended his pro day, he was reportedly overweight and couldn't even finish his positional drills. However, Carter's stock still stood strong considering the fact that he had been the undisputed best defensive player in college football for the past 2 years and was the main piece on a Georgia defense which was historically phenomenal. After a combination of hype and falling in the draft, Carter fell perfectly into the hands of Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles as they traded up just 1 pick and grabbed yet another phenomenal defensive lineman, 9th overall in the NFL draft. Now, just in case you're wondering, the defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles now consists of Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter, and they selected Nolan Smith as well, meaning they have 4 members of what is considered to be one of the greatest college football defenses of all time. The 2021 national champion Georgia Bulldogs are now members of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Nolan Smith was considered to be a top 10 pick, and he fell all the way to the Philadelphia Eagles at number 30. Centers and guards everywhere are cowering in fear just thinking of that deadly interior combination. I mean, look at Micah Parsons' reaction to this.
I'm just so sick to my stomach right now. I'm just sick to my stomach. I can't believe that many teams passed up on him.
In addition to his technical skill, Carter is also a physical specimen standing in at 6'3", 310 pounds, and somehow still runs a sub 5-second 40-yard dash. Jalen Carter is the undisputed best football player in this class from a pure talent perspective. However, only time will tell whether or not Carter can live up to the hype. Hopefully, Carter can recover from the traumatic event that plagued his stock for the past few months, and if he can, it seems as if the Philadelphia Eagles might have one of the best defensive lines in football, not just for now, but for years and years in the future. And that's coming from a Dallas Cowboy fan. And this brings us to our biggest loser of all, and that's Will Levis. Just a few days ago, Will Levis was the odds-on favorite to be taken 2nd overall by the Houston Texans. But now he has completely fallen out of the first round and could potentially fall even further. Going into the draft, there were very few NFL fans sold on Will Levis, and there were even fewer NFL general managers willing to invest first-round capital into a project QB like Will Levis. And honestly, could you blame him? Levis might be inaccurate and not NFL ready like Anthony Richardson, but what separates Richardson from Levis is the fact that Anthony Richardson is the most athletic quarterback prospect in the NFL draft. Levis might be a bigger and more traditional quarterback than CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, but Will Levis simply isn't as skilled as younger Stroud. So it makes sense that all 3 of these quarterbacks were selected not only before Will Levis, but also within the top 5. Going into the draft, Will Levis seemed like fool's gold, and every single time when a quarterback needy team approached the microphone and announced that they were not drafting Will Levis, it affirmed what everyone at home was thinking. Will Levis was all hype and no substance. Still, perhaps I'm being too hard on Levis as he still has a rocket of an arm, and his mobility is better than others in the draft. However, it seems as if every NFL team has agreed in unity that Will Levis isn't a franchise quarterback. Not yet, at least. There have been many quarterbacks drafted outside of the first round that have ended up becoming phenomenal players, including the starting QB of the defending NFC champions. But what separates those players in the past from Levis is the fact that Will Levis is basically a known commodity whose skill set has already been deemed subpar, or just decent at best. However, this is just all hearsay, and one day Will Levis could be a franchise QB. But seeing as he still hasn't been drafted, there's no telling what team Levis will be suiting up for in 2023. But one thing is for certain in Will Levis's future, and that's the fact that since every single team has passed on him, every game he plays from now on is a revenge game. And that's our biggest winners and losers of the NFL draft. If there's anyone that you think I missed, let me know in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.